Hey guys, Brett from Kitchentable Commander here, back with another Commander deck tech. With Core Set 2019 out now, we have access to a couple new legendary creatures to build around. The one that instantly caught my eye was Arcades, the Strategist. Finally something that takes Defender from a good keyword to a great one. Arcades costs 1 green, 1 white, 1 blue, and 1 of anything for a 3/5 legendary Elder Dragon with flying and vigilance. It gets you card draw when any creature with Defender enters the battlefield under your control, and during combat your Defender creatures assign damage based on their toughness instead of power. Plus you can attack with them. So you can probably guess where this is going. Wall Tribal! Before we get into the deck, we need a little history lesson. The keyword Defender is still relatively new. It was only introduced in Champions of Kamigawa. Before that, any creature that was the creature type Wall was implicitly a Defender, but usually had to have rules text to explain that. The rules changes with the release of Champions of Kamigawa saw all Wall creatures previously printed getting errata to give them Defender. This means that any Wall you see in this deck has Defender even if it's not shown. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Removal is key in Commander, so we will start there. We have Aerial Predation for some flyer spot removal with life gain, and Whirlwind to kill all flyers. Fate Forgotten and revoke existence to exile an artifact or enchantment. Spear of Heliod to de-incentivize your opponents from attacking. Slip through space to make a creature unblockable and draw a card. Wave of Reckoning is pretty much a one-sided board wipe with this deck, and Austere Command gives us great flexibility to deal with most situations we might come across. The rest of our removal is in the form of combat tricks and playing with counters. Our creatures, with very few exceptions, have higher toughness than power, so we can take advantage of Arcades' ability. Giving them extra counters is always a good thing. So that we can have more of a good thing, this deck includes Hardened Scales to give you an additional +1/+1 counter. Along that line, we also have Cathars Crusade, a staple in all white token decks. I don't even think I have to justify this one. For equipment, we have Armory of Iroas and Banshee's Blade to keep piling on the counters to any creature we equip them to. Bow of Nylea gives all of our creatures Death Touch, but can also be used to give extra counters, deal damage to a flyer, gain his 3 life, or bring up to 4 cards back from our yard. It may only put them on the bottom of the library, but this is a good insurance policy against any kind of mill deck. Forced Adaptation, Predatory Hunger, and Rite of Passage to keep giving a creature +1/+1 counters. Forced Adaptation for every upkeep, Predatory Hunger for when an opponent's creature enters the battlefield, and Rite of Passage to give all your creatures Pseudo-Enrage. Arcane Flight to give any creature flying and +1/+1, because a flying wall is hilarious. Because all we really care about is toughness, we are including a new card from M19, Aegis of the Heavens. +1/+7 is pretty much exactly what we want for this deck's theme. Also included are Bar the Door, Steadfastness, and Tower Defense. We've also included Crenellated Wall to be able to give +0/+4 to any creature until end of turn, and Stalwart Shield Bearers to give pretty much everything +0/+2. If you want bigger creatures at sorcery speed, we have Larger Than Life, Phyto Burst, and the Crowd Goes Wild. For instant speed counters, we have Burst of Strength, Giant Growth, Might of the Masses, and Temper. Moving on to our creatures, we may be Wall Tribal, but we have to include Tetsuko Umezawa Fugitive. As most walls and creatures with Defender have low power, more often than not 1 or less, she makes perfect sense to include and can often act as a potential win condition. 1 in a blue for a 1/3 that gives any creature we control with power or toughness 1 or less unblockable seems pretty good for a wall deck. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get into the actual walls. Starting off is Shield Sphere, a 0-mana 0/6 that gets -0/-1 counters if it blocks. Guess what we're not going to be doing with it? In a deck where toughness matters, it's impossible to avoid putting this card in. Its price has been spiking ever since Arcades was spoiled, and with good reason. Its cost and its stats make it perfect for Wall Tribal. Next is a 0/3 for 1 white mana, Wall of Hope. Its ability gains us life for every point of damage that it takes during combat. This is helpful early game as it will probably only see 1 to 2 points of damage, and just keep getting bigger. Steel Wall is a 0/4 for 1. Yep, that's about it. Perimeter Captain gains you life whenever you block with a creature with Defender, which is pretty much every time. Shifting Wall is a 0/0 for X that comes in with X +1/+1 counters. This makes it perfect early game as a cheap blocker or late game as a finisher. Our 2-drop slot is Swole, with Overgrown Battlement, Sylvan Caryatid, Vine Trellis, and Wall of Roots for ramp, Fortified Rampart, Murmuring Phantasm, Wall of Glare, Wall of Resistance, and Wall of Tanglecord for good blockers. Wall of Tanglecord can also block a flyer if need be. Wall of Junk for an aggressive attacker. 3 drops won't be outdone, with Glacial Wall, Guardians of Meletis, Wall of Ice, and Wall of Resurgence for basic blockers, Hover Barrier, Wall of Air, and Wall of Denial to deal with flyers. Wall of Frost will make your opponents think twice about attacking or risk having their creatures tapped for a turn. Wall of Nets exiles any creature it blocked until it leaves the battlefield. Given that it has 7 toughness, it's not going without a fight. We're hitting the top of our creature curve with the 4 drops, including Sworn Defender. 1 mana of any color and you can change the toughness of Sworn Defender to 1 plus the power of target creature blocking or being blocked by Sworn Defender. In a deck where damage is dealt based on toughness, this is brutal for your opponent. Our last creature is one that leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. But to that I say, why are you eating a tree? That's right, Tree of Redemption. This was the long con from Wizards of the Coast. They knew it was going to suck until Arcades came out in M19. They were probably laughing to themselves every time someone mentioned how bad it was. Now pulling one in a box of Masters 25 doesn't feel so bad. Our land base is a bit tricky given that we're 3 colors. To keep it budget, we aren't running any of the fetch or shock lands. We are running, however, the appropriate guild bounce lands: Simic Growth Chamber, Selesnya Sanctuary, and Azorius Chancery, as well as the Simic and Selesnyan guild gates. We also have the BFZ check lands, Canopy Vista and Prairie Stream, Battle Bonds, Bountiful Promenade, and Sea of Clouds to make sure in a multiplayer game we aren't back a turn, Botanical Sanctum in case we don't draw basic lands in the early game, Glacial Fortress, Hinterland Harbor, and Sunpetal Grove will more often than not be coming in untapped and giving us better color fixing. Tranquil Cove may come in tapped, but it also gives us a life when it does. Fortified Village gives us an extra source of green and white and only requires showing your opponents a single card. Not really a big deal. Bant Panorama adds 1 colorless mana and allows you to go searching for any basic you might be missing. Exotic Orchard, Treva's Ruins, Shimmering Grotto, Seaside Citadel, and since we are playing Commander, Command Tower allow us the ability to make any mana we need in our commander's colors. Jungle Basin for the extra green and colorless, Gavany Township to add +1/+1 counters on all of our creatures, Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse to get any basics we might be lacking, and since you might be drawing a lot of cards, Reliquary Tower. If that weren't enough, we also have a copy of Rampant Growth to help get any basic we haven't drawn yet, and since this is Commander, what deck wouldn't be complete without Soul Ring? Top that off with 8 plains, 5 force, and an island, and you have 1 Arcades the Strategist Commander deck. There's a link to the deck list in the description. Well, that about does it for today. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this deck in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you, get notified when I upload a new video. You can find me on Twitter at Kitchentable Command and on Instagram at Kitchentable Commander. If you want to support the channel, consider becoming a patron over on our Patreon. I'll leave a link in the description. It's been a blast, and we'll see you in the next video.